Welcome to another Founder Wisdom podcast. We have Bridget Harris with us today. Bridget is co-founder at youcanbook.me. It's a Calendly competitor. I like it a lot, and what I'm seeing and testing so far. Personally, I had bad experiences with some of these booking apps, Calendly included, and TidyCal as well. So I'm excited to talk with Bridget and see the future of youcanbook.me and learn more about the story because she's been leading that company for 12 years now. This podcast is brought to you by podpire.com. If you want to start monetize your podcast, you can go to podpire.com. Bridget, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Thanks very much, Charles, and thanks for that intro. And it's great I know you're a power user of scheduling, so I think we can learn as much from you about what we should be doing with our tool as anybody else. A little bit about me. So I don't have a background in entrepreneurship. I started working in politics for a long time in the UK, but got sucked in, as sometimes some of us do, into running a business with my co-founder, Keith, who's the CTO. And as you said, we've been building up You Can Book Me for the last 12 years. Although that wasn't our first product. So the first product that Keith built as a software developer was in 2003. So we've been going for more than 20 years. And really just chasing the rainbow like everybody else, trying to build a product that you think you can build a business around, that you can get an income from. And very slowly, and I've often said this, that you build a product and you think that's what you're supposed to be doing. And then you realize that you need to build a business out of it because you need to make money. And then after that, you realize that in many cases, you need to build a company around your business. So in 2012, we had a product and we definitely had a business. We were growing really fast, but we didn't have a company. So I switched over from politics to working full time for You Can Book Me and built up the company. It's a remote company now. We have around sort of 25 people who work for us full time one way or another, and the usual headcount of about 30 people at any given moment working for You Can Book Me. We're around the world in Europe and South America and North America. We have our developers spread around mostly in Europe. So we've been just basically piling on, features, engineering, serving customers. We have over 15,000 customers kind of and growing for people who've been using You Can Book Me for many years, actually. I've been doing my own interviewing of them at the moment. And there's some people who've been using You Can Book Me for 7-8 years, sometimes 10 years, because, touch wood, we haven't let them down. And we've been a reliable scheduling tool with all the features that you need that has kept us going. And so as a result, we've built up a business of around $5 million ARR. We're bootstrapped, we're profitable, and we're kind of all the good things. We're all the good things that people want to hear about, I guess. But it doesn't feel like that sometimes for us because we're the ones that have been on the coalface for many years building our business.
Right. And how does one go from politics to the startup world? Like, is there some skills transferability between the both?
Definitely. I mean, I think there were certain parts of politics. If I was interested in getting elected, then I don't think there'd be much read across. But actually, my area of interest in politics was constitutional reform, electoral systems. Basically, one of the jobs that I had in Parliament was working in a kind of a backroom operator kind of role, where you are essentially trying to change people's behavior, do things around, getting votes through and advising ministers and MPs and operations. And so I was brought in to run You Can Book Me largely because I have a background in operations and finance and HR and business and systems. So it was interesting. We were having a conversation yesterday about it, about women in tech. I know that there's a big issue with women, CEOs leading software companies, but in some ways I don't consider myself to be a woman in tech because I'm not in tech. I'm not a technical person. I'm a business and entrepreneurs person. And so I run You Can Book Me the way I've observed and been part of the way people would run the country, or, the way any system works and the way people work and the way policies and procedures work. But crucially, because we were bootstrapped, I had to learn, the most important lesson that I had to learn was how to make money, because we don't get that from politics. Politics is funded by the taxpayer. So people get very complacent about decisions inside politics because they don't have to make any money. Whereas the biggest lesson I learned in my transfer across to entrepreneurship was you have to make money. You have to learn how to make money.
Right. And you scaled it to a multi-million-dollar ARR company. So what has been the growth stages in the last decades that you've observed? And when was the specific moment in which you knew that this was going to the sky and this was actually scaling?
I think we knew that almost from the very beginning because the growth rate was just absolutely hyper growth at the beginning. And I think that we wouldn't have known that if it had been our first product, but because we'd launched multiple products before, some of them had grown quite fast, but none of them had made any money. It's kind of like, you know, when you see it. So when we launched You Can Book Me in 2011, we were getting customers immediately from the viral growth loop of the booking tool. And it was immediately obvious to us that we were going to continue to grow. And in fact, again, you know, I came on board in 2012. We were only actually bringing in $2,000-$3,000 a month. So if you think about it, I gave up my full-time job that was paying for the household income to run a company that at the time was only generating $2,000 or $3,000 a month. But the reason why is because I knew exponentially within a couple of years we'd turn that into $20,000-$30,000 a month. So that was never in any doubt. I think though that what was in doubt, or what was always an uncertainty, was there's all sorts of ways you can fail. Like everybody has a unique way to fail. One of them is running out of money. So we did have a lot of struggles at the beginning. We had to borrow money, get overdrafts. We had various private loans. So not running out of cash to allow us to continue to do what we wanted to do was one of them. I think that when you grow really fast, if you have what we have, which is a freemium tool with self-service, which means we have over 1 million accounts on You Can Book Me. So we have a huge opportunity to fail in terms of customer service. I mean, you yourself mentioned some of our competitors and how you've kind of been let down by them. Customer service is hard in a high volume, low touch software company. So I sort of have some sympathy for that you can start to get a bad reputation if you don't help and serve customers. So we did a huge amount of that at the beginning to preserve our relationship with our customers. I think you can fail sometimes when you maybe don't make strong enough choices, and we've made those mistakes. But I've always said that, and I would say this to any entrepreneur, any business owner, your job is to make a net positive number of good decisions compared to the bad decisions, because you're never going to be perfect. You're always going to make bad decisions. You're always not going to see something. Hindsight's perfect in terms of looking back on what you do. You know exactly what you should have done rather than what you actually did. So you're never going to get away from that. But what you have to do is, when it really matters, make good decisions. And that's what we did with You Can Book Me. There were certain pivotal moments where, I don't know, we changed the pricing structure, or we hired somebody, or we fired somebody, or we moved over some of the engineering, or we made a big decision about some way we were going to deliver the service that changed things and allowed us to grow. And then the milestone for us was in 2016, 2017, where we reached $1 million a year. So we went in 4 years to $1 million, which now feels like there's some people that are doing that in weeks. I mean, like, whatever, okay, fine. But 10 years ago, it was pretty good for us to get to $1 million. It was £1 million actually a year in about 4 years. And we also made £100,000 in profit. So we turned over a 10% margin in profit. And that was really significant because it meant that we could bank that money. That was our money. We'd made it. And we could choose to invest it again or do something else with it. But suddenly building up on our balance sheet a reserve that meant that we could fall back on You Can Book Me's own resources. And we weren't just constantly, because, when you're growing really fast, so you were generating cash when you're growing really fast, but you're also spending it, and often you're spending it faster than you can generate it. So the job is for most founders is to try to go hell for leather and grow as fast as you possibly can before you run out of money. So to get to a point where we weren't going to run out of money because we were earning more money than it was costing us, that was a huge relief for us. And then that was a bit sort of, okay, now we can, we started to pay ourselves a decent salary at that point. And we could hire people with more security and certainty. that we were going to be able to continue to pay them because we'd grown past that point where we had a profit margin that we could lean into.
Were there moments in which you were uncertain of the future of the startup, crunch times, whether it's cash flow or something bugging or a competitor releasing this new feature? Were there like tough moments slash challenges, and how did you
Definitely.
surmount these?
Okay, 100%. And famously, we're a bootstrap company, and I've written a bootstrap manual and I've talked about it a lot. But actually, at various times, we did try and raise finance, not very seriously. I mean, we did a bit of an incompetent job at it. But most of the time, when we were looking to potentially raise money, it was because we felt like we were on our knees and we needed help. So, and raising finance is just one of the ways that you think it's going to help you, because somebody's going to come along, write you a big check, take a chunk of equity, and then you're going to have the cavalry. And I think in every case, it never worked out because the problems we were trying to solve weren't going to be solved by money. So put it a different way, I didn't know what, if we'd had the money, what would we have spent it on? And actually, often the stress comes from your own lack of experience or uncertainty about what you're doing. So there was definitely times when, nobody wants to do support tickets at 2:00 in the morning and there's still 70 tickets in the queue. Nobody wants to do that. And there was definitely times when me and Keith and, senior colleagues who are still with us, thankfully, would be there ticking over support tickets. Or the worst times are when the service goes down. And it's never happened. It hasn't happened to us, thank goodness, recently. But in the days gone by, either our service would go down because of some kind of horrific production, fail, but more often Google Calendar would go down. So Google Calendar hasn't gone down for years, but 5-6 years ago, Google Calendar would go down and we would hear it like some kind of blast of canaries coming out of the You Can Book Me cave, expecting their booking pages to work, totally overloading us with tickets. And then if Google Calendar wasn't up within 4 or 5 hours, that was horrible. So there's always that fragility when you're relying on a third party or when you're relying on other people to work with you when things are really tough. And it's your emotional resilience, because I don't think we're doing ourselves any service at the moment on LinkedIn when everybody's giving the impression that you can start a business, you can just basically, generate loads of business within a couple of weeks. You'll be 2 million by the end of Christmas, and then you're going to get 1 billion. I mean, there's some guy I'm not going to name him, but I'm sure you can work out who I'm talking about. He's got a $2.5 million a year business, and he reckons he's going to grow it to $1 billion, and he's going to do it within 4 years. And you're like, well, maybe you will do that, maybe. But you're given the impression that this is kind of fairy dust that everybody can do. And in my experience, there is no big secret to running a business. It's just hard work, and it's resilience, and it's consistency, and it's customer service, and it's having a high quality product. You can't trick your way into running a multi-million-pound business. And if you're managing to find ways of automating huge amounts of interest and leads into your product, but your product is shit, and your churn is 70% or 80%, well, that's not a business. You're just running incredibly fast and banking a bit of nice cash on the way, but it's not a real business. Whereas with You Can Book Me, we have a solid bedrock of customers who use our product. Our product is really first class. It's been around before Calendly and all these other competitors that we now have. It's a solid business, and it took us a long time to build it, to understand what it needed, and it'll carry on, well past, I'm sure, me and Keith because of that. It's not essentially a shooting star. It's a galaxy.
Love it. Yeah, an ecosystem. So where would you see the startup in the future? I mean, by now it's more than a startup, right? But where would you see it in the age of AI? People would still be booking meetings. I think people are just catching up to this, right? The calendar concept, the digital calendar concept, and blocking time into that for productivity purposes, but also for enjoying life, right? Like me, I just love putting stuff in there that is like going to the gym, have a sauna, the cold plunge. I put everything in there. So what would be the future of one, the business, you can book.me, and second, calendars in the age of AI?
Okay, so really good question. I think AI is going to be able to do a huge amount for us in terms of helping our personal schedules. So one of the things that people do quite badly is optimize when they've got meetings and when they're working and what they're doing. And I know AI is offering kind of smart capabilities into people managing their own schedules to say, when am I going to be, when should I be going to, I don't want to suddenly have a business meeting 5 minutes after my run, because whatever. So I think there's a personal scheduling, personal calendar management, which is going to be really helped by AI. I think in the area that where You Can Book Me really excels, we're in the business of people who are managing bookings to run their business. So they're small businesses or entrepreneurs or people who are getting leads and sales and demos who need to basically have a schedule week on day in, day out, where their calendar fills up with their work, with what they do, with the services or the sales that they are managing. And the fact is that that's not a difficult problem in one sense. It's not like AI is going to come and make that easier for anybody, because we don't really like tools like You Can Book Me and Calendly. We're already doing that solution. So for us, the question is, how customized can you get it for your own business? So in the case of You Can Book Me, the languages, the customization. Like I've been interviewing customers recently, and it's amazing what they say to us about You Can Book Me, that they talk about You Can Book Me being a partner to them and their business, and how we allow them to be who they are. A lady said to me recently that if you're a small business, you only have one differentiator between you and somebody else, which is how you is your schedulers, your customized page is the thing people are going to interact with you about. So for You Can Book Me to offer her whatever she wants to make it exactly how she wants it to be really matters. And we can use AI internally inside You Can Book Me to make settings better or easier. Like AI is going to be great for UI, and for building a software solution, makes it easier to use for people. But I don't think AI itself is going to have anything to say about the fact, are you free, Charles, tomorrow at 3 o'clock or not? If you are, great, I'll book you. If you're not, AI is not going to change that fact. Whereas I said on the personal scheduling side of things, AI could have limitless, possibilities of people using AI as a personal assistant, which is going to help them run their life, project manage their life, I'd say.
I think it'd be fun though to have an AI try to predict my goals, right, and the time flow that I'm trying to achieve, and yeah, make some predictions. Okay, it's this time of the day, the weather is good, go for a run right now because later it's not going to be great, hence book some time. Or yeah, like depending on my health data, for example, if it's connected with an Apple Watch, right? Oh, your heartbeat is high right now. You seem to have nice levels of energy. Better if you do that task right now. And also like synchronicities between people, the best time to meet and so forth. I think there's a couple of startups that I A/B tested that are trying to AIify calendars, not the way that I just described, but they're booking like downtime as well after a meeting, 15 minutes, which is sort of good, right? I used to be back to back to back. And they also yeah, they put these
So
activities
yeah,
in your calendar.
you see that's just a really good example. Like we call that padding. I think Calendly calls it buffering. That's possible. Like that's not magic. Like I think software's really got to do, like, AI is capable of magic. But yeah, being able to sort of not avoid back-to-back meetings, that is, in fact, there was something on LinkedIn, a guy that I follow who said, oh, I haven't got any meetings on Friday, I've had such a great day. Like, well, if you used You Can Book Me, you would just take Fridays off. Nobody would ever book you on Fridays. Like it's not we're not talking about rocket science here. You choose your day. Like the software that you use isn't making decisions for you. You are making decisions about your life. If you don't want to have meetings, don't have meetings. If you want to take bookings on a Tuesday, do. Like the issue I have with AI is that AI doesn't know what you want. It doesn't know your preferences. So you have to program your preferences one way or another into an AI tool for it to help you. And most of the time, human beings don't know what they want. Look at us. We're just bimbling around most of the time. So it's our ability as humans, like AI is only going to be as good as our ability as primitive humans. And I think a tool like You Can Book Me for many years has helped people, give them structure and rules that they struggle with otherwise. So a guy I spoke to yesterday is an English language teacher in Brazil. He was saying, if I have a 24-hour cancellation limit, it means that a student can't cancel within 24 hours. But if they'd phoned up a receptionist, they might have had this, oh, no, please, you know, you don't understand, blah, blah, blah. So humans would say, oh, well, maybe we should give this person a break and be flexible. You Can Book Me doesn't care. Like, You Can Book Me is like, I'm sorry, it's 24 hours have passed. You can't cancel. So there's actually a certainty and rules in using a software tool like You Can Book Me, that it won't fail you, it won't change, it doesn't go wrong, it doesn't fabricate, it doesn't invent, you know, something, and that you know, is maybe too rigid for somebody's personal schedule, but for somebody's business schedule, that's exactly what they need.
I like that. What's next for you for this year? What are your top goals for You Can Book Me?
Well, we have had a really busy year, Charles. We have had a really busy year. So we changed our pricing first off, which went out in August. And we've just had 12 months of kind of incredible product development. So we are hunkering down as a team this autumn. We're going to be doing some integrations and some, well, we've got quite an exciting list of things we can do, but we're basically giving our engineering team a little bit of downtime to do some tidying up of the engine room that's been working so hard. And it's nice that we have nice kind of seasonal changes inside the team. So it's going to be, you know, pretty busy September, October, November in terms of customers and new accounts and all the rest of it. So we're just going to serve our customers, get to know them a bit better, do a bit of marketing, push out some stuff that we know that they want, but we're not trying to radically change anything, because we've done last couple of years, we've been doing some radical change, and you know, you can't keep going at that pace with your team forever. So we're now just going down to modest change. We're switching gears from radical change to modest change.
Love that. Where can people find out more about you, Bridget?
Well, I love being on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. So you can find me on Bridget Harris on the LinkedIn URL. I'm sure you can search for me. You can email me. I love anybody who watches. If you've got any questions, go to Bridget@youcanbook.me, and of course our website. And it's a free account to sign up. So anybody watching this website, if you sign up and you create an account, definitely get in touch with me, because I might be able to give you a quick upgrade freebie.
Thank you so much. That was Bridget Harris.